Much of your warm-up today will be done on the ground, so let's get ready to roll. If you needed a mat, if you need to grab somewhere that's a little bit more comfortable, feel free, and we're gonna get right after our warm-up. As always, this warm-up is meant just to get you ready for your main event, that main portion of your workout. So if something is giving you a hard time through the warm-up, pick a movement that feels comfortable. So we're gonna start this off on our backs. We're gonna be lying on our backs. We'll be starting with some traditional glute bridges movement that most of us are pretty familiar with, especially if you've been following along to this programming. We're gonna be bringing the heels back nice and close to the backside, raising the heels up and bringing them back on down. Raising the hips up rather, or driving through the heels. Much different movement. As we're going through this, we're squeezing the glutes, we're driving through the heels, getting those hips up as high as you can. I'm going to turn this into some traditional sit-ups. Feet can go wherever you feel most comfortable. Bring our hands up overhead, sitting up all the way through. On that sit-up, we can also choose to turn that into a crunch by tucking our knees to our chest, placing your fingertips back behind your knees, and bringing your chest up towards those knees. I'm going to continue working through these sit-ups or crunches. It does not matter how many you go through. We're just going to continue moving at a nice consistent pace, warming up through our core, going for, right now, 3 more, 2 more, and that last one we'll roll on over, getting into our plank position. We work lots of plank for warm-ups. I love them for the shoulder and core strength, keeping a nice straight line between shoulder, elbow, and wrist, and also all the way along my backside, making sure we're not sagging the hips or bringing them way up high in the air. Both of those are a little bit exaggerated, but it just goes to show that we want to stay in good position. Just taking some deep breaths in that plank, holding in plank, transitioning between plank and downward facing dog. As we go through this, our focus is pressing your chest back towards your knees. Whenever I do these, the microphone gets a little bit close to my face. If you're hearing any weird noises, that's why. Taking one more and dropping down to the knees, we'll sit back into our child's pose. So sitting on the heels, reaching out as far as you can. If you feel comfortable wherever you're at, we can always place your forehead right on your mat. It's a really good stretch. And we'll walk our hands over to the right side. Should give us an awesome stretch down the left side of your body. Walking hands over to the other side, same thing. Good stretch down the side body. We'll be rolling back on over, taking a seated position. We're gonna tuck your heels in nice and close to the backside. We're gonna start with our hands right behind us, almost as if you were propping yourself up. And let's face our fingertips facing forward, so facing your toes. And we'll be going into a glute bridge variation, but it's going to feel a really good stretch on your shoulders. So we're raising the hips up and back on down. I'm not the best demonstration for this because my shoulders rather are a little bit tight. We're trying to get the hips up as high as you can. If you can get them higher than me, that's fantastic. Should be feeling a good stretch through your shoulders. Now, if it's too much of a stretch, don't bring your hips up quite as high. Taking that breath out. Now fingertips are going to face towards the side of the room. So we're moving the fingertips a little bit, which will give you a different stretch in the shoulder. Same thing, hips go up and back down. One more. All right, this final one, we'll be facing our fingertips back towards the back of the room. Again, a little bit difference in the pointing of your fingers will give you a different stretch. Hips go up and back down. Now this one for me is where it's the tightest, so I can't get up quite as high. I just want you to go as high as you can to feel that stretch. One more. Ooh, we'll give those shoulders a little bit of a shakeout. I'm going to turn back around here. Keeping the left knee on the ground, our right knee is going to come up into a lunge position. So if you notice, my hand and my foot are directly next to each other. Now some of you might be able to get your elbow all the way to the inside of your heel. I cannot get quite that low, but if you can, we're just going to sink down a little bit deeper. Now turning that into a rotation, so driving your elbow towards your heel and then opening up towards your knee, driving the elbow towards the heel. Again, opening up towards the knee. Feeling this in a few different spots, but kind of nice and cozy where that glutes and the hamstring meets. It's really where I'm feeling it today. Take one more transition. And taking that same stretch over to the other side, back knee comes to the ground. Again, my hand and my foot are directly next to each other. So adjust your foot if you need to. First of all, we'll just be hanging out down. I notice that one of my sides is a little bit tighter than the other. So as you're going through this, just get to your range of motion that you feel a good stretch on each side, regardless if it's even or not. Now let's set the elbow towards the heel, opening up towards the knee. So towards the heel, opening up towards the knee. Taking a total of 6 rotations here. That was number 3. Here's number 4. Taking our last 2. And last one. I'm going to return back to our plank position. Believe it or not, more planks in for our warm-up. We'll be holding this plank, just taking some deep breaths in here. This should be getting challenging as we go through even the warm-ups. We want to challenge ourselves. If we need to drop to the knees, we can, but working them from your toes is a great way to get a little bit better at planks. We gain some shoulder strength, we gain some core strength, which are all good things, especially as we transition into our workout. Now hips are going to go up with now the focus of getting more of a calf and hamstring stretch. We'll be pedaling our feet back and forth, taking a little bit of a stretch on each side. Returning back into plank. Dropping to the knees if we have to, but we're working through 8 push-ups. Now you can break these up however you want. Knees is fine. We can keep our elbows. We prefer to keep our elbows nice and tight to the body. If you can hammer through these, go ahead, have at it. If we're working the push-ups, still building some strength, we can go for a couple. Drop down, shake the arms out. Again, going for a few more for a total of 8. As we finish that last one, we'll take a knee. Again, we'll shake out those shoulders just a little bit. We're going to finish off with one final stretch here today for our hips. So we'll find plank, stepping one foot up next to your hand. Let's keep that back knee up off of the ground. And then going back and forth. This is not meant to be a fast movement, but it is meant to be a movement that's going to feel pretty darn good on the hips. Take 2 more per side. Here's 1, and 1, and 2, and 2. As always, you are now ready for your workout. A little bit of a sweat going, should feel much better than you started off. As you come and do these warm-ups, if we do the right things, results always follow. We'll see you again next time.